Hmm. And this song, it doesn't strike me at all that it was intended to be happy. Like, I mean, it does sound just because of all it is a voice and a guitar and a harmonica. Like, there's no other production involved.
Very,
That it does have that kind of bounce to it a little bit, like a little kind
no, it's
of,
no. It's got a little riff. I told you when the harmonica came in, I was like, oh, okay, so we about to get down right quick, you
yeah.
know? Well, you
Oh
know,
man, like, yeah, it's and I like the blowing in the wind thing because it's one of those things that can mean at least two different things. You hit on a third one, I think, too, actually, which is cool to hear your perspective on how that hits. But like it can cut both ways. It can always be like always everywhere around you, like blowing in the wind. It's there, but it's still not something you can like grasp and like touch and hold, right? You
right.
can't if it's blowing in the wind, like you're always feeling it. It's always there. It feels like it should be like here, right now, immediately, right? But it's not something you can ever like really grab
You
for
know,
yourself.
this is what I mean about like how it's kind of existential. It's like, well,
Hmm.
like he sounds like a hippie sometimes, but then sometimes like he sounds like Solomon in Ecclesiastics. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, it's like he really ranges like that, and that's why it's like, well, no, that's something that in the hip hop genre that a lyricist does. Like, so the guy behind me,
Hmm.
like. Like one thing Biggie was great at was contextualizing things from line to line. Like one of my favorite things that he did is he like one of his lines was used to call me fat, so now you call me Castro. You know,
Hmm.
there's some of that going on with Bob Dylan where it's like he can kind of go over there and then go over here really quick. That's a mark of a great lyricist, you know?
Right. And take you with them, right? I mean, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We have to go along for the ride
right.
successfully for you to be great at it. Everybody's trying to do stuff like that. Has you know, what I mean, aspiring as an artist, musician, songwriter, or so forth. So yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're trying to do, I think, here, and I think both of these songs do, is that they both sound, I don't want to use the word poppy, but like they sound like songs you could play on the radio ish, given their context, right? I mean, like late 80s, early 90s, and 60s, whatever. But
They fall right in line.
they're sounds that you can enjoy the song, or people can enjoy the songs without paying attention to the words, like the melodies and the playing and the beat and the like that
It's
kind of
about,
stuff carries it, but and you don't have to pay attention to the words. But then I think what we're doing now is like digging into the words a little bit,
but that's
and
why it's important that we discuss like the hit side. So I'm going to tell you. That's why I said it's like it's. Let me get back to a couple more of my notes. Yes, I like my first thoughts were that it was very poetic and folk tale-ish at the same
mhm,
time. You know, like
yeah,
it's a lot of different things for it to be simple. The melody is good. It's poetic. It's kind of telling a story. There's some back and forth. There's some questioning of oneself in there.
definitely,
There's some harmonica play, which for black people, we're just gonna think about Stevie Wonder. I'm just gonna tell you like that is. It's like I heard the harmonica, I was like, oh, Stevie Wonder's instrument. You know what I mean?
hmm
That's
yeah,
and so like it's doing a lot of things in terms of what it invokes in your imagination and creative process, Andrew, for it to just be a record with a guitar lick
hmm
and a harmonica play that's not dense with words, more melodic and slow and kind of riffy.
yeah,
And one thing that I noticed about the record is like I could totally see this record coming on the radio, me driving in the car and not hearing one word
right,
that was said while the song was playing, but still nodding my head the entirety of the time while the song
yeah.
was playing. And people think that that's like not a good thing. It's like, no, that's very, very hard to do.
Hmm. And Fight the Power does that for me too, or did that before I like paid
Yeah,
attention to the
I
words.
mean,
Like I said earlier, like I know the hook, like I knew the hook from when I was in like high school, right? Like it's like that part sticks obviously, and it's meant to. But like you can just like listen to the beat and the whatever, and not pay attention to the words, and not and enjoy it without getting the message. But when you get into what both of them are saying, it's there's a whole nother series of levels to all of it.
So there's a sense of hopelessness to fight the power too that doesn't get
Mm.
discussed. That does make it comparable to blowing in the wind in terms of the problem not being resolved. Oh, well, they're telling you to fight the power, but they're really not telling you how.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about that part of the record. Is it's like that's what I mean is that no, the rhetoric there is strong, but if we're going to get into the nuances of it, you know what I mean? I'm 40 now, so I look at it differently. It's like, no, no,
Hmm.
no. The message, clear, outstanding. The
Hmm.
rhetoric, all-time great.
Right.
Epic. Voice, legendary. The explanation of how to get there.
Yeah. It's and both of them.
And so let's go, hold on. So real quick, let's
Yeah.
go back to the whole Elvis thing.
Yeah.
Well, explaining the whole Elvis thing is nice and it's entertaining, but it's not really helping us with inequality now, is it?
No, it's pointing out an example of something that went badly, right?
Right.
Which is what
So,
Blowing in the Wind's doing too. It's pointing out examples of stuff that didn't go well.
so they're great show cars to put in the front of the dealership. You get what I'm saying? It's great to put them in the front of the dealership and show them off. Yeah.
Mm.
And so that's where both of those songs are similar. And that's why I was excited about doing this because it's like, oh, when you're listening to both of these records, it's like, well, there's really no way to contextualize these records together. Oh, no, 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 there's plenty. You got to look at it. And if you really look at it for their respective genres, oh, those are show pieces that you put in the front room of the lobby for those cultures about
Hmm.
what those cultures represent.
Yes, absolutely. They're like
Most,
the
but most like
yeah.
those cars that you put in the front, it's like if you actually like look a little bit more, that may not be the best car on that lot, though. If you really start digging into the message, you
Mm.
know.
Yeah.
And I only say that about Fight the Power, and nobody questions that about Fight the Power or brings that up because it's
Hmm.
such an important song. It's just a valid assertion that needs to be made about the record. It's like, well, and I only say that because Chuck B is intelligent and highly
Oh
educated
yeah.
and and was dealt with the unenviable task of wanting to talk about those matters. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Unlike contemporaries. And that's where the format of rap is hard because also too, that's why I brought up the format of rap early. Part of the reason why the explanation isn't there is because well, there's not time to explain based on that hip hop format.
Yeah. They've packed a lot of stuff into that small amount of space. Like
They did a whole lot. I mean, and we're splitting hairs, like you know.
right. No, I mean, and you got to be able to dance too, right? Like you got to be able to like or groove in your car or whatever. Like you have to be able to do both of those things.
Right.
And
I'm pretty
yeah,
certain.
you're talking about. I guess they're both taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, taking steps. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
With another, yeah.
I'm cool
So
with it.
yeah, what do you have any like final or finishing thoughts? What do you?
Um, no, man. Like I think that's the closing idea that and we're going to get into this as we do more of these too. I'm sure that though the antecedent or the heart of hip hop is I'm quoting you now or trying to anyway, like the inner city struggle, right? Like that it's just where it's coming from. And this and the Dylan song are coming like from a much more rural kind of area. Like I mean that kind of world. I mean, this is
How about
he
this? How about this? How about this? It's like it feels like when Bob Dylan wrote that record, he went to see a friend that he went to high school with that lived like in the inner city of whatever respective town that he was from, and it and he's not a bad guy, but it evoked a whole set of emotions in him as he was driving home and leaving that area.
yeah, he's trying to. I mean, obviously he's doing this in like early mid '60s too. So, the consciousness of most white people in early mid '60s is very different, obviously. But I think he's doing his best in this song to bring other people along, like to
No, no,
explain
trying to push his
what.
people along on the way his
Yeah,
people are going to sit up there and call him an in lover,
right.
Andrew.
And they did probably, but like,
Oh, they
um,
probably did anyway. Yeah, absolutely.
but and hippie and everything else. Sure, I mean, like
Yeah,
it's
my, Andrew, probably in succession. You in loving hippie MFer, like
Yeah,
yeah,
probably. Yeah.
like in succession.
Um,
And so, and that's what I mean is like no, he's not he's not like you can see that. And this is the lyricist side of him probably. And I'm not super familiar with Dylan's records. I'm familiar with some of his stuff, but he has, I think, a quality that almost every legendary artist has, no matter what genre that is that he appears to be sensitive to the environment around him.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the legends have that in every genre. You know, like all the legends are sensitive to the environment. Tupac, Bob Dylan, Prince, Nas, Michael Jackson, Bob Marley.
Yep.
You know, sensitive, like what Erykah Badu says at the start of Tyrone, like I'm sensitive about my like be nice.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this was a great way to start off. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It was I think it came out okay. I mean, obviously it's long. I don't have a clue how long it was. Longer than 15 minutes for sure. But
we'll get it down.
yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, and then we can just hang up. Hey y'all, it looks like you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, there's another video right here that's like the full episode that this clip was pulled from. So if you're interested in what we were talking about, that's there. So go check it out. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.